DS says, lol, hurt as your kids seeing you spiraling out. Let me say something real quick. I've said this a million times, and I don't know if I can say it enough. Actually, I know I can't, but I'm going to try because I am a messenger to the people, a prophet of the YouTube gods. Look, I don't care how much a streamer is streaming. I don't care how much you watch of them. No matter what you think, you are looking through a porthole and trying to describe the inside of a massive ship. You see a window into people's lives, and that's fine. But please stop pretending that you know what those lives are like when you're not looking through the porthole, because you don't. You don't. Much has been said maliciously and falsely about things people have said about me or in regards to me in my cases that have been made public. And a bunch of people say, well, how couldn't people see X, Y, or Z? How could no one see X? Maybe what you should ask is how could no one see what you think you saw? It's possible, maybe, that what you think is happening is actually not. It's happening up here for you, that's something only you can deal with. But what you think you see is not what's actually happening, and that the people around who can't seem to see the same thing you see, they didn't see it because it's not what you thought. It's just possible that when you're looking at someone through a computer screen in a very particular environment for a couple hours a week, that you don't actually know what their lives are like outside of those couple hours. It might just be that way. Especially if everything that you read, especially if all of the things that you end up coming out disagree with your perception of reality, then it's possible that your perception of reality is, through no fault of your own, not accurate. And again, that's fine, man. Streamers are ridiculous people. I know me. I've met me. I am a fucking walking bowl of chaos sometimes. But I'm also not a walking bowl of chaos most of the time. Most of the time, I'm just a dad and husband and a guy who hangs out with people or goes to dinner. And if you think it's like, well, I saw that guy drunk on a live stream, that means he's drunk all the time. It's like, bro, what world do you live in? What life do you realize? And then you go, wait, why isn't anybody else testifying to this? Why in none of the testimony have we seen anybody say Nick was drunk all the time, at all times, stumbling around at every event, can't find him not drunk? Why does that never come out? Does it not confuse people? It should confuse you if you think that that's what's going on, and it just never matches reality. And the funny thing is, those people who, again, utilize some sort of their proximity to me to try and build credibility. And when they start making claims like, oh, Nick is like this or that, or this, and then when the evidence comes out, when it comes down to the testimony, and they can't find a single person They can't find a single person to testify to what you quote unquote know to be true. Maybe it wasn't true. Maybe someone utilized their clout to lie to you for money, to make you think something so that you would pay them. Maybe someone did that. I'll just humbly suggest, because guys, I tell you what, when you have a child custody case, the state can interview people to get any information they want, and they don't even have to tell you who they interview. You don't know that they're interviewing them. You don't know who it is. You don't get to say, actually, that person doesn't know me. I haven't seen this person in 5 years. And when it came down to it, and the state had the opportunity to put any of these people up and say, Nick Rekieta is a degenerate, nasty, horrible person on all of this stuff, they found 0 people who could do it. 0. And if the legal experts can't figure out why they could find 0 people to do that, why the Nick Rekieta that they swear that they've represented to you as must be this way. We all know Nick is like this, and not a single person would sit down and testify to it. Why is that? Look, I've been told I'm very small and very narrow, so I'm not physically intimidating. I certainly haven't bullied my way into making people not talk, and they can talk. They can have anybody come up, and the state is just begging for someone to say this shit, and they can't do it. Why is that? Maybe they lied to you. Maybe they consistently lie because what they saw was an opportunity. They saw an opportunity to take your money into their pockets because they thought you were spending it wrong, or that you would want to hear this something, sensationalize a story that they don't actually know. Huh, we've all seen Nick do that. You haven't seen anything beyond a fucking sandwich. You don't know me. You don't know shit about me. And yet, again, everything that they've said has not come true, because you'd think they'd be able to produce one person. One person. Do you guys know? Do you realize that all of the coverage of my transcripts and everything that's come out, they haven't been able to put one person, no testimony, that I even drink. Like, I drink on the show, right? Like, that's obvious. I drink on the show. I don't right now, obviously. Before someone decides that that's a thing, I have a fucking drug patch test for alcohol. But anyway, I would drink on the show. That much is obvious. But they couldn't find anybody out there to testify about me being intoxicated off of my show. Not one person. Why is that? I mean, I've heard that I literally can't live without liquor, that I'm constantly drunk. Like, I've heard all these things, and yet none of it manifests. And believe me, the state in a child custody case would love to show that. They would love to show it. And all these guys who are sitting there telling you about me and telling you about my case, none of them have pointed that fact out, have they? We haven't seen any testimony from anyone saying, you know what, Nick was drunk at this thing. They can't. They can't do it. It's amazing. But it's funny. So this is all just responding like, lol, hurt is your kids seeing you spiraling out. Yeah, maybe, just maybe, you don't actually know what goes on inside the house of someone just because you watch a live stream. It's not a criticism of you. It really isn't. But some people, the live streaming world is fun when especially when you talk about it with other streamers, because you go, some people kind of need to take a fucking step back. Like, you are watching a show. You're watching a show, And at some level, we're all performing something. Now, a lot of people, like, I try to be pretty fucking honest and open about it. That's the amazing thing. I'm people like, Nick lied about who he is. Never. Like, guys, I told you all the degenerate shit I was doing. Like, I told you about it. People are like, Nick misrepresented. Like, oh my God, no. Like, hilarious. Like, I just telling you about life, like, that I live. My life has been wild and fucking interesting. And I try to take little snippets from it and hopefully encourage people and make them smile. And people like turn that into some other weird thing. I don't know, but that's fine. But it's like, some people need to take a fucking step back because like you're just watching a show still. Like we're all tuned up a little bit above normal on a show. That's the whole thing. Like that's, you take who you are and it gets exaggerated in a couple places and it makes things entertaining. But that doesn't mean that people like, again, I would drink on my show, but people think I'm like just walking around my house, just pounding whiskey out of a bottle. Like that's fucking insane. Like Nick was driving. It's like, dude, no cop has ever even asked me about DUI, like ever. Cause I don't drive under the influence because what the fuck? I have kids, man. What are you thinking? Do I have a lead foot? Do I speed a lot? Yeah, all the time. Terrible about it. I like driving fast. It's fun. I always have. It's more fun than driving slow. You also get where you're going slightly faster, which is cool. Driving under the influence is fucking horrifying to me. I didn't even do DUI defense as a defense attorney because I don't like it. I don't like it. I would refer those cases out. Everybody deserves their defense. I didn't want to do that defense. Personal choice. But people like have this impression. So let me just say, you're probably wrong about a lot of streamers.